I'm Christine, and this is my journey to convert this into a garden. Welcome to my Garden Odyssey. A mixture of things this week, quite a lot of planting, but I'm starting with some removal of the ivy on some of the trees, which is really quite bad. And I must apologise for the wind noise, which is really quite loud, but it was very windy. I've been pulling off the ivy from as many of these trees as I can. Like I said before, quite a lot of it is growing on trees that are dead because they've been killed by the ivy, like this one. And I need to take the ivy off because it's just stretching across to the trees that are alive. So I've taken it off of the lower branches of the trunks of these. And some of those, there's one there that still needs some work, that one. These I've taken off. This is the huge pile that I've taken off. That thing sticking up there is a stem of an ivy that actually was on this trunk and killed that tree. Taken them off of there, and the next two, and then there's these. Started taking it off. You can see the bare stem there, but it's dead. There's some live hawthorn there, somewhere in there. So I've got to rescue it. But I think that's it along this stretch. But as ever, there's more over there. And you can tell there's ivy there because right down to the base of the trunk is green. And that means it's ivy growing there. I'm going to have to fill these gaps in at some point. Probably with, or possibly with, one or two hedge whips, but otherwise I'll have to put some sort of chicken wire up there, some sort of barriers, just to keep the dogs in. It doesn't need to be too high. See that? They're never going to get past that. Just enough to stop them crawling through, because they can't possibly jump when this branch is coming out. Anyway, I thought I'd just show you the work on the ivy trees. Oh God, what a bugger they are. Nice holly there though. This is lime. Is it? The leaves don't look right. I don't know what it is. I must work them out at some point and label a plan. If not, I don't really want to label trees, but I'll make a plan and label that plan. It'd be good to actually cut that thing out. Look at all that dead stuff up there. Certainly cut it down. It's quite handy to have to keep the lower part as part of the fence. See, look, there's more ivy, hemerocalis, who knows? Let's find out. It took me a couple of hours, but I did it. I got rid of that pile. That tiny little mound of twigs there that I'm going to put on the fire. When that rock burns down, I'll put it on the fire and put the lid on and let it just simmer. I got rid of all that. Which is pretty amazing. When you think, oh, sorry about all the smoke, when I think back about how this was the edge of the pile, and all of that was a mound. Now I'm gradually pulling it off. There's a pile there that's a little bit wet, so I'm going to go around the other side tomorrow and pull off some of the dry stuff. Don't know what to do with this log. Other than put it over there with the other logs for my neighbour to pick up. But God knows how she's going to pick that up even with her wheelbarrow. Still waiting for that to suddenly burst into flame. Unfortunately, it's blowing straight across to my neighbours. But thankfully the wind's picking up, so she doesn't burst it a bit. Yeah, here it goes. Another lovely day. But when I turn the corner and get into this garden, I just feel so daunted. How many times have I said I feel daunted by this garden? I guess I'm getting there, but okay, the height of the pile is definitely gone down, absolutely definitely gone down, but to a large extent it's got dragged to the side. I came out earlier and dragged all the dry stuff I could off, including the grass, put a lot of it into the trenches over there where the concrete is, and this is all relatively dry. Whether it will burn is another matter, so I'm going to try anyway. This is where the big branch is sticking out. You can see it's definitely lower. This thing's all dragged to the side here. All of those are really quite wet, so I'm going to have a go over here at this pile and see how I get on. So I'm going to take a photo, a before photo, and see what it's like after. Well, I don't suppose it looks much smaller. Perhaps if I go further away, that might make it look smaller. Does it? Really? Certainly this bit on this end is smaller. And the fire is burning quite well. So it's got a little bit more to put on it, and then I'm going to leave it for the day. Cover it up once it's down to a safe level, and then I'll cover it up. And if I can get rid of the stuff around the edge here, including that grass, there's a little pile over there, if I can get rid of that tomorrow, that would be a huge achievement, because rain is forecast for the next day. Sorry about the smoke, everyone. I bought some hedging plants, just whips, bare-rooted whips, to go along the front boundary by the pond, just as a hedge. And I'm not going to be able to plant them today, so I've just healed some of them in here, and the rest I've put at the front. I need to pile that soil up a bit, but I've just used the soil from the trench because it's much looser than everywhere else. So this soil over here I was going to use, but because it's quite nice soil, but it's just too full of roots. I can't get a spade or a shovel or a fork, sorry, into it. But this was much looser, so this has been okay. At the front it was quite loose, but it's not topsoil, but that doesn't really matter. It was quite loose, so I could put heal them in quite well. But now I'm going to do some burning. Tomorrow is supposed to rain, so I could try and get some burning done today. And in between burning, I think I might try and hack through or saw through the really thick branches of the ivy at the base of the trees. So secateurs, printing saw, rake to tidy things up, paper, cardboard, matches, and safety gloves. And then just my gloves, my gardening gloves. So let's see. This is what I've got to try and get rid of. Whether I'll be able to or not is another matter. I don't know how dry it is. But I pulled everything off around the edge here. So everything around the edge here is where I want to try and burn. Because underneath, as you can see, it's actually really just soil. I think there's weeds at the top, some of which are growing. Weeds at the top, but mixed with soil, so they're really soggy. But that looks like pretty solid soil. So when I get down to that, I can use it to fill in the trenches where the concrete slabs have come out. So you can see one tipped up there, and the others are over there. And there will be one where the incinerator is, and there will be one there where those bricks are. So I've got quite a lot of trenches to fill, which I could fill with that soil gradually. It makes that whole project of how do I get rid of this seem a little bit more manageable. And what's interesting, if I go a little bit closer over here, this tree sticking out is now much looser. Much looser. I still can't get it out, but it's just a little bit on top. I need to get off somehow or other. I think I'll get it out. The only problem's going to be if it goes right over to the other side, in which case it's going to be really difficult to get out. But that will be an achievement in itself. You can see here, that's just mud. Mud. Very wet, horrible mud. With weeds on top, which are growing because there's so much soil in there. See, it's growing. Right, so wish me luck with the fire. It lit quite well yesterday, so we'll see. It may light, but I'm not sure it's going to stay alight with all that damp stuff. I got the fire going okay, but that grass in those piles there, I've burnt the stuff that's dry, but too much of it is wet. And that was all on the side there. So it's getting lower by the day and narrow. I'm going to be planting this collection of hedge whips I bought. There's about 85 of them, and they're going to go along the front there. I don't know whether you can see, there's a line across the top which is slightly darker. That's where I've dug a trench. So I'm going to put some bone meal in there and then plant. I've got those there and another little batch up at the front. But it's such a lovely day today that I think I'm going to have to hold off on the planting and come back to the dreaded pile. It's going down though, isn't it? I have to do some burning while the weather is dry and calm. In other words, no wind, so that it's not smoking too much, and if it does smoke, it doesn't affect my neighbours too badly. And hoping not too distant future to get these concrete slabs removed. And when I say not too distant, I'm thinking a couple of weeks with any luck. So the slabs and that wood. And the other thing is I'm thinking I'll create sort of, I don't know, simple compost heap, as it were, with stakes in the corners and some chicken wire, just so I can throw stuff in And the reason I'm looking in that direction is that's where I think I'd put it, because then I can take some of this stuff that's really wet and put it in a compost pile, for want of a better word. There goes the dogs barking. Anyway, burning now. Well, yet again, problems with the fire. Issues today are that them, well, as always, everything's too wet, and the hemlock stalks I've been putting in there, which burn really well, but they just go very, very quickly, and they don't create enough heat to burn the little sticks, twigs and things in there. So I'm going to give up. I'm going to push it all down, put a load of this stuff, well, not a load, but put some piles of this semi-dry stuff in there, maybe even one of those worm-ridden rotting logs, and put the lid on, and then hopefully in the morning it will have just smouldered its way down to ash. So instead I'm going to go and plant some hedging. Oh, I'm out of breath. I'm standing in the front part of the garden, and you can see in the distance there, that's the garden at the back that I'm creating. And this is the line of hedge along the common. And I want to plant some hedging in this gap and the gap just next to it. So I've started clearing some of the weeds, and an interesting find of all sorts of bits of metal. The most interesting one, interesting, that's not the right word, but most difficult one. It looks like some sort of exhaust, but it's not, I don't think it's a car exhaust, I think it could be a tractor. It's just huge, so I managed to pull it up here, fork underneath it. As you can see, it's lifting way over there. And I've got to be careful because that grey cable there is my internet connection. So I have to be careful with it. It's not here. Once I've got that out, there's still this. I don't know what that is. And then there's a great big piece of concrete there. Oh, there's some metal here. I don't know what that is. So I'll keep at it. I came out here to plant a little whip. Just here in this gap between these, it's a sycamore and it's turned into an ivy tree, which I think is probably dead underneath. So I've found quite a lot of iron work. That's a great exhaust, which goes right down there and then bends. Comes all the way down here, and there's a great big steel, piece of steel there. Very small bits. It's just about there. It smells actually really good. I thought it was just about there, and there was just this piece of concrete with this bar sticking out of it. And then discover this red thing. God knows what it is. But it's got to go. Like I'm a bit wary, just in case I'm digging up something critical to my electricity keep going and I'll show you what I come up with, assuming I can get it out. Got it out. Some jerry can plastic. Quite thick. These tons. Not this much luck with this thing. It's just about moving. So I think I'm going to have to get the spade out. Get rid of some of the saw, which is very light. It's actually really nice topsoil. Try and get some of the ivy off the sycamore. Not that I love sycamores, but there's something rather nice, rather special about having a huge sycamore tree in your garden. Oh, Dell! Finally got this great big concrete post that got pulled out from over by the fence, thanks to Dell, who walks his dog around here. He really was great. And I've planted my first oak. Set it back from the hedge, or the fence a bit, because then I'm going to be planting some hedge, some of the hedge plants that I've got healed in. Just over there. Let's see if I can show you. So I've got a few left here to plant. Not quite a few, in fact. This is just pure clay here. It's awful. But there, that topsoil is nice. So I've got my first oak. I'm so pleased. Pouring with rain now, so I'm going to go in. Make a cup of tea.